All the errands are done. I've picked up the food. I've gotten the meds. I got the new studio working, so we're getting ready to give you a good show. So just sit back and relax. Welcome back to Shits and Giggles, a podcast for dads. Well, it finally happened. I never thought it would. And I came to this episode thinking that I would be bitching and moaning about it. But I couldn't believe it. I don't think it'll ever happen again. But last night, for the first time in a long time, my daughter slept for 2 solid 4-hour intervals. 2 solid 4-hour intervals. I don't think I've gotten any fucking sleep in the last 4 days, but last night she slept for 2 solid 4-hour intervals. That's like 100 hours of sleep. If you're a new parent, you'll understand. If you're an expecting parent, you will understand. That is legitimately like a week's worth of sleep all piled into one wonderful experience. So I decided I'd share that right off the bat before I get into today's topic, which I will tell you is a very important one to me. It is equal representation. And what do I mean by equal representation? I mean that dads and moms are equally represented in the world of parenting. And over the years, and we've always seen it, dad goes to work, mom is home taking care of the kids. Mom is always there. She's great. She's wonderful, but dads are there too, and I don't feel like they get a fair shake. And I kind of want to talk about some of the things that have happened to me so far in regards to this. Put down your pitchforks, social justice warriors. Take a breather, moms out there. I'm not shitting all over your daily duties, but I am pointing out that the guys here may be a little underrepresented, and sometimes it's just not fair. When I was in the hospital after my wife had given birth, we actually had a wonderful nurse. I believe her name was Diane. And she made a point every time she came in, and you know you have a bunch of nurses, but whenever she came in, she would make a point to say, "Dad, are you okay? Do you need anything?" Which is apparently not the way it goes most of the time. This is my first kid, but she mentioned that a lot of the times dad falls to the wayside where mom gets taken care of fully. And to be fair, mom just did an amazing, incredible thing. Bully. But dad, if you're there, like I was there the whole time, you need to be taken care of too. You're not sleeping the same amount she's not sleeping. And it's just one of those things where you really need to think about both parties involved. And I felt like this woman really kind of got that. Diane understood that the father does need, like, hey, even if it's just, can I get you a glass of water? Do you want a cold beverage? Would you like a soda? She would also make sure that I'm eating, that I'm not starving myself because I'm too busy. This is the kind of nurse you want to have post-delivery. I'm telling you. I believe a lot of the reasons guys get left out in the lurch is not necessarily the fault of the people. Well, I mean, it's a bias for sure, but plenty of it comes because most dads and guys in general don't ask for things when they need it. Most guys keep their mouths shut. We've been taught over the years that we're the strong, silent types. We need to take care of ourselves, and which is true, and there's nothing wrong with that necessarily, but it's also not wrong to ask for assistance when you need it, especially when you're in a very new situation like parenthood. I've come up with a few places where dads are for sure not even remotely thought about, unless it's specifically from their friends or even maybe other dads, but where it's just the industry is not targeted towards us. And it is what it is. I'm not saying go get your torches and run after people and start a cause, but just think about this kind of stuff when you're targeting any kind of audience when it has to do with parenting, that dads watch commercials too. Dads are there for their kids too. Maybe that's not the case in all situations, and I hope the shitty fathers of the world don't fuck it up for the rest of us, but, you know, some of us actually enjoy being a parent. So let's try and make more, you know, equal opportunity parenting stuff out there. And again, I'm not saying, oh God, just it's dads are great. It's another man saying that he should be represented. I'm like, no, but in this case, the dad should be represented equally as the mom. I'm sorry, take a deal breaker on that one, but whatever. anyway, a lot of this actually came from the fact that we did picture day for Penny a couple weeks ago, and they spent a lot of time setting up, which is fine. But when they started taking the pictures, they asked Mom to be in the picture, and they like, Mom, do this, Mom, do that, and I'm just standing there waiting for Dad because I had a picture that I really wanted, and I posted it. If you saw it, it's the one with Penelope's name written on my arm and me holding her. It's a great picture. It's one of my favorites, but I had to ask for that. So it's Mom, do this, Mom. Finally, the guy's like, okay, that's it. We got all the pictures we need. So, we'll print them out. And I'm like, excuse me, sir. Can I get one, please? I'd like a picture with my daughter. I'd really appreciate to have this one. I specifically had one that I wanted. And I'm like, oh, what a great place at a professional studio to get, it's JCPenney. You call that professional if you want to. But, I paid money for this thing. You should ask my friggin' opinion. And this may not be the way it is all the time, but this is the first thing that I just was standing there and was completely ignored. And I wanted to do something. And so of course, I spoke up for myself. And that's all I'm saying I'm going to do. I'm not saying go out there, run, do things, but speak up for yourselves, because a lot of people aren't going to sit there and just coddle to you. And sometimes you do need it. Like, listen, guy, I paid for this. I want a picture. And so finally I got my picture, but it was like pulling teeth. It was like, okay, well, what do you want? I'm like, this specifically. Okay, well, here we go. Let's do this. Let's do that. And then we got it. But it was, with Mom, it was so easy. It was just, we'll do this. Get this picture, you kissing her and blah. And they were great. All the pictures came out great. You'll see them. They're coming up here and there throughout the Facebook and Instagram posts. But it's just one of those things where I was it was my responsibility to ask to be a part of something that I'm paying for. And I just think that that's a huge representation of how dads are treated in general. And there's a lot of other situations. The baby shower, perhaps. If you think about that, when was the last baby shower that wasn't just it's like the guy, it might as well be the same as the bridal shower. Show up at the last half hour, it'll be fine. We loved my baby shower. It was great. And we actually did have a good time. It was, it wasn't super geared toward just, my wife, but it wasn't super geared towards me. And that's just the general way that baby showers are. I'm not complaining about my baby shower, but I've seen baby showers where the guy doesn't even doesn't show up. I've seen baby showers where the guy is not invited, and it's not. Yes, the mother is doing a lot of work, but the dad had something to do with it. If you think about it, it takes two to tango, if you will, and we do. Some dads don't, and that's fine, but a lot of dads out there do want to get representation. They do want to be shown as part of this family and not just be a stock character to the right, that one stick figure on the back of the car. It's just not fair. And it's something that, I personally take offense to a little bit, when I don't get recognized for being a part of my child. I am half, or she is half of me. Now, speaking to that note, I'm not saying let's go, because I feel like anytime someone targets something for dads, it's get the camouflage out, let's go. And I've said this in the first podcast. It doesn't have to be a lumberjack fiesta to represent dads, but, take a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B and have a lot of fun. Like, you're there to celebrate your new child. You're there to rear in, and basically you're there to get a bunch of free shit off of your baby registry so that you don't have to pay for it. Let's be honest. It doesn't matter who it's tailored to. It's tailored toward your bank account, if you ask me. And I'll leave that at that. But another thing, for sure, that is definitely not tailored to the gentleman are diaper bags. And what's interesting is I found the one that I got to be far, far superior to the one that my wife first got. My wife got a very nice, it was like $170, it was all leather, it was this super cool diaper bag, like, ooh, look at me, Gucci gang. It wasn't Gucci, but it was the top of the, look at me and my fancy diaper bag. Well, the thing had zero structural stability. You could flatten it down to a pancake, and it didn't have a lot of spaces for stuff. Like, we have a rollout, like a skip hop. You roll it out, and it's a little changing table where there is no changing table, which those things are awesome. You just roll it out, wipe it off, put it back, you're done. But there's nowhere to put that. It didn't have a whole lot of space in general. We were cramming stuff in there, and it's leather. It's leather, okay? Leather is heavy. And this wasn't like pleather, faux leather. This was full on I killed that cow. That whole cow's skin made this bag. And it was good looking. It looked great, but it's, again, why do things have to go form over function? My bag, it's a gray bag. I was gifted it by some very close friends of mine. It has a metal support inside of it. It's like a frame inside of it, so it keeps its shape. You can put things in it. It won't get limp or fall to the side, and it's a backpack standard. I mean, on me it looks a little ridiculous because I am a very tall, strapping gentleman, and it is probably geared towards a slightly smaller demographic, but I love it. It fits, it holds everything I need it to, and it's utility. It doesn't look great. I mean, well, it looks fine, honestly, to me, but I don't really care about high fashion in the world of diaper bags. But back to my wife's expensive one, she had to go out and buy a different one because the one that she had was literally physically hurting her back. So they're targeting these diaper bags, which you need for a long fucking time, towards women. And, let's just say that sometimes women like to go a little over the top when it comes to buying things, and that's the fancier version. Well, the bag's a bag, and I'd say that in this case, but it's not. One bag is a bag, and one bag is a diaper bag. Mine, with the structural support inside of it, nothing. Perfect. Fits great. Works perfectly. Hers, that was this leather pancake, gone. She went for a better version that fits more things, and it's such an interesting dynamic that this was, I don't see commercials. Oh, and then I do see, going back to the, camo and lumberjacks, I do see a commercial for the male diaper bag, and it's like, oh, look at these diaper bags, and they whip off the diaper bag for the woman that falls, or I guess it's supposed to be for the woman, who cares who it's for, but they're like, boom, get rid of this one, and it's like a huge duffel bag of camo being like, man up, sack up, get this diaper bag, and I'm like, that's not what I'm talking about either with representation. We don't have to either be women or super macho dudes. Some of us are like nice, sarcastic, fun guys who like to make fun of things on a slightly regular basis. And they like to talk about all the things that annoy them about parenting. Myself overly included, perhaps. Moving on, I suppose, from the diaper bags. I want to expand on something I talked about in an earlier episode, which was my paid family leave, because that is another place where dads are not just underrepresented, but pretty much shamed for taking it, or for taking all of it. I've heard so many people shit talk dads who take their paid family leave. First off, I would have taken my full 6 weeks, that the pittance that I'm allowed as a full paid 6. My company, again, it's through EDD, so this isn't necessarily my company's fault, but they're like, oh, you can get 6 paid or up to 12 unpaid. And I'm like, well, I can take up to fuck all unpaid. My company doesn't give a shit if they're not paying me. I can take as much time off as I would like. I would like to have 6 weeks paid at my full rate. So that's my issue. That's not how it is for everybody, but I definitely had a problem with how much they pay out. If your company does, always check in to see if your company reimbursed for the part that EDD doesn't go through. But when it comes to paid family leave, we're talking about men are literally shamed because they're like, oh, what do you need to be home for? Your wife's there. Why are you taking off a month to spend time with your newborn? And you do need to bond. You need to be part of that process. And that's not even why I'm angry about it. I'm mad about it because I didn't just need to bond. I needed to be a part of taking my wife and keeping her mentally sane. There's so much shit going on. We've never had a kid before. You need to be there just to be there for each other. Because if I'm gone at work for 8 to 10 hours a day, and I come home not having dealt with a kid all day, I'm only dealing with the end of it. She's had it all day. Then we both don't sleep because the kid's up all night. But no, please, fuck me. Let me go back to work. Let her stay at home all day because that's the way society wants it to be. No, dads need to be there for their wives and their kids, and that's the end of it. You wouldn't say this if it was a same-sex couple that were having a kid. And I don't know how that works when it comes down to paid family leave, but are you going to have both of them have a shit day, or are you going to pick one of them to be like, no, you can stay home, and the other one has to go back to work? No, that's not how it works. It's just not fair that, one half definitely doesn't get represented properly, And I just think that when it comes to paid leave, I have heard, like, and I'm a huge Howard Stern fan, but he gives shit to his employees all the time for taking their paid family leave. And it's something that not only are you entitled to it, and not in this world of over entitlement, you're entitled to it, but I encourage that you go and take your paid family leave just to get to know your kid a little bit. And again, to take care of the child with your wife so that the both of you have a game plan. I've said this before. The paid family leave, we don't live in a world of single incomes anymore for the most part. It's at least not in Los Angeles. That's once you get to high producer level, sure, but then you're living in the world of nannies and it's not that big of an issue. But we don't live in a world of single income. So you have to eventually get used to not both of you being there and then eventually figuring out what you're going to do when you both have to go back to work. It's great if you can be a stay-at-home mom, and there's nothing wrong with that. And people who shame stay-at-home moms are just as fucked up as people who shame dads for wanting to take off their paid family leave. So fuck those people. But, like, there's no way that you can live in the bubble of your paid family leave, which is what I'm talking about. It's not if there's another circumstance in your life for how it works, go for it. That's fine. But paid family leave is a very small amount of time compared to the life of your kids. So you do eventually have to get used to it. The bubble will pop eventually, and you'll all have to go back to life on the regular world. That's a little bit past the equal representation part of this episode, but it's definitely something I need to drill into your heads. I haven't gotten there yet. I am terrified of this moment, but it's something I am slowly having to grasp with, and that's why I talk about it, because that's what I made this podcast for, was to talk about the stuff that worries me. I'm going to have to go back to work. My wife's going to go back to work. My kid is going to have to stay with some stranger that I'm going to have to interview and hope that they're not a psychopathic weirdo like Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs. And there are a lot of those psychos out there. So it freaks me the hell out. My wife gets terrified of that kind of stuff too. So fuck all. It's more scary if you're not scared. At least if you haven't gone through it in the first time. But again, it's something. This is a constant. It's going to happen. There's nothing to stop it. So the only thing you can do is get used to it, get ready for it, and make your peace with that. That's going to be part of your life. Eventually, things will be older. They'll go to school, blah, blah, blah. But in this newborn part where I'm living, it's all fear and happiness for me. So it's a really weird cornucopia of events, but that's just the way it is. Let's talk product placement for a moment here. I'm a gadget guy. I love gadgets. I like technology. I like cool things. I like the idea of stuff that's fun, learn while playing for my kid. Every single advertisement I see, for the most part, for a lot of toys, not all of them, but for a lot of them, toys, little techie gadget things for kids, it's all moms, no dads. Sometimes you'll see the dad putting the kid in the crib, but the mom's repping the whole thing and walking around. And again, I'm not shitting on moms, but I'm saying I buy the technology for my house. I am the one who furnished our home with Alexa devices. I am the one who got the cool lights. I have the sound bars, the mounted TVs, all this cool audio equipment. It's fucking great. But you are going to tailor it to my wife. She's not a techie. She'll go and buy the analog stuff. That's fine. But you want to sell me something for $300 that's cool? Sell it to me. You know, I'm a techie. This isn't for all guys. This is just in my perspective. I love technology. So if you really want to sell that, my wife's not going to give a fuck about it. I'm going to like it. So gear that towards me, or make it a little just towards everybody, not just, but they do. It's so targeted towards women, because I think that the advertising agencies still live in the world of the wife stays at home, the dad goes to work, the wife makes all the decisions about the baby, and that's at least not my case in my house. That's not the way it works for me. I don't remember that being 100% the way it worked when I was a kid. There was a lot, but there's never been this equal representation that I'm asking for. And in this world rife with social justice warriors, you'd think that maybe someone would have taken up the cause. I'm not asking you to. I'm venting to you. I'm saying this is what irritates me. I take it into my own hands. I stand up for myself. I ask the stuff for myself, and that's as far as I'm going to go. And I guess the farthest I'm going to go is I'm making a podcast bringing to light the lack of male representation in the baby rearing world. And that's as far as I'm going to go. I'm not going to go to rallies. I'm not going to go stand on a soapbox in the middle of the street. I'm just going to tell you, it sucks sometimes not being added as a participant in your own child's life because of societal norms or what have you, someone's own personal bias. Look, there are shitty dads out there. I get it, all right? But there are shitty moms out there too, and there are shitty people out there. That shouldn't ruin this perfect, amazing part of my life. And it's not ruining any of it, but it does. It irritates me a little bit because, me and my wife are 50-50 in this shit. All right. And that's the way, again, this is just me. It's not the way it works for you. You got someone who's a piece of shit to you. That's fine. I'm not talking to you then. I'm talking to the people who are 50-50 like me, who'd like it to be that way when it comes to purchasing decisions, items, all the stuff that's targeted. And, again, it's not something I'm really super on a soapbox about, but I am just trying to put it out there as something that you may want to think about, advertisers, and you also may want to think about sponsoring me. I'm a pretty big deal. I'm Matt House. This is Shits and Giggles. You know what I'm saying? It's a pretty big fucking deal. But that's about where I'm at when it comes to equal representation, I suppose. I guess we'll move to where Penny's at right now, what she's up to. And as I said, she gave me the sleep. She slept. Oh, it was great. And my wife hasn't had a good night's sleep. I sleep through the fussing. My wife has had trouble with it. So she slept for that 4-hour stretch, gets up at 1 o'clock. Feed her, change her diaper. And I'm like, hey, go sleep on the couch. So I tell my wife to go sleep on the couch, keep the kid next to me. And I'm expecting to be up every couple hours. But I need my wife to get some sleep. She needs to sleep. You all need to sleep. Take my fucking advice. Get some goddamn sleep. If you can, do. When they go down, you go down. Blah, blah, blah. But it's fucking sleep. All right? And I'm tired, but not today. I got my sleep. But after I put her down at 1 o'clock, after being fed and diapered, well, what do you know? Oodalotty, 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 eh? Guess who I wake up to at 5:30, just a little fussy, but not crying. And I'm like, fuck it, I'll change her diaper, see if we can keep this on a roll. It didn't. She was up at 5, but she gave me 2 4-hour stretches. She's almost 6 weeks years old, guys. 6 weeks years old? Okay. I don't know she's almost 6 weeks old. You can say 6 weeks years old. You're stupid if you do, but, whatever. But she's 6 weeks old, and oh my God, she gave me 2 4-hour stretches. Live for these moments, people. These are the moments. These are the moments that you don't get back. The sleep. You can't make up for it on the back end, I've been told. You do sleep a lot more towards the end, but it's not making up for the ones you lose now. Get it when you can. She is also talking a little, no, not talking, but she's communicating slightly differently. Now she's doing this bah! Thing, which I think is adorable. And yes, I do try to mimic her as best I can. But she's like, it's like she's trying to shout. She's trying to exclaim something. And it's great. I love it. I just kind of, she's really engaging now. We got her on there. She's doing a little bit of tummy time here and there, but we have her on this play mat with some things above her where she's just she'll sit there and she'll flail her arms around. Now she just smiles so much. In the morning when I go to change a diaper, she's a smiling, dialing baby. And it's just great. She's getting up there. She's getting old, Might be time to start having a new one. 6 weeks, phew, old news, am I right? No, she still is everything and every possible thing in the world to me. And I am still loving it. Yeah, do I get frustrated? All the time. It's okay to get frustrated. But it's these moments, these times where you're the only thing for her. And me and my wife just love just staring at her. Who the fuck doesn't? It's their kid. This is something you created. And if you don't like your kid, fuck off. You shouldn't have had kids. I mean, end the story there. But, this kid is everything to me. So I could never understand why someone wouldn't. But that's the end of that right there. Developmentally, she's pretty much the same as she was the last episode. I only did it a couple days ago. But I did want to point out she did super duper sleep. But I got to wrap it up here. It's pretty hot in my apartment. I don't know why the air conditioner is on. I think you may be able to hear it, but boy, howdy, it's getting warm over here. I will leave you, as always, with my world-famous words of wisdom. My kid is better than your kid, and vaccinate your kids or keep them the hell away from mine. I'm Matt Howes, and this has been Shits and Giggles, a podcast for dads. You've just listened to one dad's perspective on parenting. This show is not intended to be taken as an authority on how to raise your child. Did you enjoy the show? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share on social media. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Shits and Gigs 42. leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts, or email us at shitsandgigs42@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. See you next time.